Hello. If you're like me, you can't really cook, but you like to cook nonetheless. Here's a very simple bread recipe. It'll take about 5 minutes to mix the ingredients. It's really very straightforward. Let's have a look, see what the ingredients are. Now, just a disclaimer before we start. The kitchen hasn't been burgled. It always looks like this. I know where everything is and everything works. So, thank you. Let's go. These are your ingredients. 500 grams of plain white flour, 320 grams of tepid water, make sure it's not too hot, 1 teaspoon of dried yeast, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar, and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. That's it. Let's start with flour. No need to sift it. One teaspoon of the dry yeast. Two tablespoons of salt. 2 tablespoons of sugar. That's the dry ingredients. Now we'll just mix those together. Thoroughly mix it. Make sure there's no places that the yeast, sugar and salt haven't got. Just add the water, all in one go. A tablespoon of white wine vinegar can go in now. Tablespoon of olive oil. Now just mix this until it becomes a ball. That seems to be about the right consistency. We're ready for the next stage of operation now. Now the slightly messy part, where we want to use lots of flour. Spread over our working surface. Make sure our hands are covered in flour. Pick up the ball. Keep tucking it all in until the flour has covered it and it's not so sticky anymore. We're trying to get rid of that ragged look. Gently folding. It's becoming smoother. Keep working it. I'm no expert here, so feel free to criticise. It's quite a nice feeling, really. Who knew it'd be such fun? Now, I'm going to put that back into the bowl, and I understand that we're looking for the dough to rise about twice the amount. And we're just going to pop that back in the bowl like that. I'm going to cover it, and then we'll see what it looks like after an hour or so. Now this has been proving for about an hour and a half now, but I'm going to knock it back, I believe the expression is, where you just stretch the bread onto a worktop that's got flour on it, stretch the bread, pull it out and fold it. It's lovely to work with, this is. And then let it prove a second time. There are so many things on the internet, so much advice. A lot of them are conflicting, very different ways of doing the same thing, making bread, which has been made for thousands of years. So I'm going to put that back in the bowl again and see if it rises a second time.
Let's go up to have a shower, Jimmy.
Oh. So I'm going to put this back in the warming drawer again. That's what it looks like now. Let's have a look and see if it rises any more a second time. I've put a dish full of water in the bottom of the oven. I've read somewhere it may help to stop the bread drying out quite so much. Don't know if it works or not, but we'll give it a go. I've set the oven to 220, but I know that gives me 200 degrees in the oven, so I'll actually be cooking at 200 degrees. So I've taken this out of the warming drawer after its second proving, and it's risen hugely this time. Very sticky. Waste not, won't not. I'm going to leave that for another 10 minutes or so before I put it in the oven. I have to wait for the oven to get the temperature anyway. So I've got my probes, my temperature probes in the oven, 4 separate probes, and they all seem to agree around about 200 degrees. So I'm going to put the bread into the oven now. It's amazing how quickly it will start to lose temperature once the door has been open. Just once, you can see it's down to 166 already, just for that few seconds the door was open. So when you're cooking those Victoria sponges, don't be tempted to open the door. Right, so let's have a look, see what it's like after 40 minutes. Fingers crossed. Missed it up, boy. Well, after just 40 minutes, it looks well done. Yeah, maybe just slightly overdone at 40 minutes, but there we go. No, that's not bad. It's a little bit dark in some places, but it's certainly risen well, hasn't it? Right, look out. Of course it does. Oh, it looks pretty good. That's the sound you want. There we are. We'll leave that to cool. What do you think? So it's a very dark brown on top. It's not actually burnt. You can see where it's risen in the tin. I'm just going to smear some butter into the top. Little trick I saw somewhere else. Stops it from drying out, apparently. Just remember, I'm new to all this, so I'm learning as I go along. Okay, let's have a look, see what it looks like if we cut a slice off. Oh! There we are. Looks nice. Try that with a bit of butter and cheese in a minute. That's pretty nice. Well done, Jim.